Yo, what's going on? Another watch list. I believe we're live. We should be up and going. How's everybody doing? Um, was did not do a live here yesterday, but was enough action here, and I feel like a main watch going into tomorrow was BYND. Now, this one is the likes of open and let me see here. Like we're in this kind of stage over here on BYND where it could last a lot longer than you think, and then maybe that actual backside move is clear. I took the approach today of getting fairly aggressive off open. If you guys have been here, um, any other time, really. My typical entry strategies with opening range breakdowns, with red to green moves, with failed follow through, all of those came to fruition this morning. We got a PR right here in pre market that was rehashed news. Volume came in, and once it topped out at prior highs and started to fail to follow through, there was enough volume. You can look at like a 15-minute here. There's enough volume trapped up at the highs that felt like it got quite long crowded up into those 230s, 240s, 250s. So I was fairly aggressive on the short side. Basically put some on right before open, hit it once it failed off, and then was 1R right around here. Once we got the hard cracks, opening range lows, I added, was about 2R off of highs. And usually as I'm adding through here, I'm moving risk down to these bounce highs. But I had made a comparison on Twitter to Wolf. Let's see if I can get back to it here on a 1 minute. Because it had very similar action. I think it was right here. No, it was not. Oh, you know what? It was on the 7th. It was in July, actually. It'll take too long to get back there. Right in here. But you get that multi-day run. It goes gap to gap to gap. And then you get this gap up day that fails to follow through and then swings versus the lows. And I felt like BYND was in a very similar scenario where it was going gap to gap. That was up in that 70% range, right near the market open, that I typically like to see for those blow off gaps. So it was worth the stab. I think with this liquidity and the range that this name is trading, you don't get these every day. So I think it's worth sizing up a little bit on. But going back to the Wolf comparison, is it exhausted through VWAP and then failed off the rest of the day. So I was a bit worried about moving risk down to these 220s. My average was in the 220s. So I could have stopped break even. That obviously would have been a bit nicer than taking a full-size loss. But I stuck to the plan, stuck to that high day risk, got stopped out. We got a hard crack lower high there in after hours, so I put on a small balance just as a possible swing. Because comparing it to like a bunch of the new A had done it, ADAP, the most recent one in my mind, where it went parabolic here into 30 cents on this day in after hours. That next day's gap was the high that I think could be the scenario for BYND, given that it had that PR this morning. They got a bunch of longs to come into it. And then you also have it collecting shorts throughout mid-morning, midday, and then clearing them all out in after hours. And now everybody looking for this thing gaps like crazy every day. And they're being rewarded for that, for carrying that swing position. So with it going crazy in after hours, something like ADAP did, where it collects shorts throughout the day into close, and then boom, massive squeeze out, and then that ends up, it doesn't even get up to there on the following day and just steady fade. So I'm thinking that could be a possibility on BYND. So I don't have any size by any means. If it gaps up over 480s, I will just move on and look to reattack. If we're gapping anywhere in this 330s to 480s range, I would be interested pops versus those after hours highs. If we're gapping down here, then I would have to be looking for green to red moves and stuff of that sort. So opening range, green to red, after hours highs, those will all be key levels for me to play off of. And the higher this goes, I just think the better the opportunity. So we'll do my best not to step in front, but when I feel the tide has changed and those key levels start to break down, then I will look to get aggressive. Two other watches. I've got a ton of stuff just kind of sitting here. Where you had like Donut started getting a bit of attention, Air started getting a bit of attention, GSIT popped and faded off versus prior day's highs. Rainy has been a choppy but also a multi-day runner, but volume is dropping off each day rather than speeding up, so I will leave that one alone. Femi double topped, so price alerts up there. SLNH looks like it's failing to follow through. Price alerts up towards 5. NUAI had a little bit of a run, but just couldn't quite get the extension that I typically like. So all just recent runners, big percent gainers, stuff like that. Keeping on watch, but BYND is main watch, and then I have two other watches. DVLT, I'm holding not a huge position given the risk reward, but I am sized with a 1R off of $2. As long as this continues to build off of 2, it looks pretty good. I wanted to see this 230s, 240s prior high break, which we got today, and looks like it supported it throughout later in the day. This prior looking left $3 area will be key, but we had big move, pull, big move, pull, big move, pull, lower high, but higher low, and now higher high. So as long as dips continue to hold verse 2 and don't break down under these prior lows, then it looks like we're still in trend. Ideally, I would like it to shove up towards 3, get another tight 1 or 2 days before re-breaking out. But we'll continue to hold that and swing that one and look for that bigger picture trade. And then Open is the other one, was a plan on a previous watch list, and I've posted it in Investors Underground as well over the last couple weeks. But we had this key support breakdown here, 790s that broke down, pulled back into prior support of 7, and then prior support now became resistance right here. 790s pops failed. So I was leaning on it through here and was using the 790s 8 area as a guide. And now today was the first day that it closed below 7. So it's looking good for lower. The first close below 7 since September, beginning of September. So it's been over a month, month and a half. And I think retail has moved on from this name. So ideally, continues to fail off a 7, and this support can now become resistance just like 8 was, and then would look to cover each piece into each of these looking left levels that I've drawn previously. So 2 big picture swing ideas, and then BYND is definitely the A plus idea going into the rest of the week. There is some options on this. So maybe it runs another day tomorrow and then maybe has a Thursday or Friday trade. That's also a possibility in my mind. But each day that this holds and continues higher, you can look at Open on the front side. This was a super retail heavy name. We could be looking at something like this, where maybe this is tomorrow and then the following day just holds up before the blow off. But then this is the day where you gap up into looking left, and you can just size to the gills with whatever you're comfortable with. You've got like the likes of, oops, there we go. Oh yeah, you can't. That one's delisted. You had what else? You had open like FFAI, FFIE was the prior ticker back here a couple years ago. But like boom, 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 and then you can see a massive crater day, and then it's just super clean there on the backside. So there's lots of meat on the bone. I don't think picking the top is necessary. I know I did put on a few into, oops, what am I clicking on here? I did put on a few there into after hours, but it's nothing I'm emotionally attached to. I'm not super concerned with that one. So anyways, that's what it is. BYND is the A plus watch for the rest of the week. And then those other two, DVLT and Open, the other two big picture ideas. So not looking to overdo it, but wanted to give an update on what's been going on. Didn't do a ton last week, wasn't really sizing into much. There just wasn't really any A grade opportunities. Took a couple losses, had a red week, but I think it was like over the 5 days was probably like -2, -3R, something like that over the whole week. So it was just a bit slow and just waiting for something like BYND to pop up, and whether it pulls back, sets up for a breakout, sets up for first green day. But this is where I thrive. So alrighty, guys, I will leave it at that. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you in Investors Underground tomorrow. Peace.